The following documentary was inspired by actual events. Only the names and facts have been changed. The wetlands of Sawyer Island in the South Carolina Lowcountry are home to a community of Naiads, Dryads, and Fairies. Naiads are nature dwellers that live mainly in water. Dryads live mainly on land, usually among trees. With few exceptions, most Naiads and Dryads are female. A male Naiad is called a Pontomoy, and a male Dryad is called a Drus. Naiad and Dryad societies are matriarchal. The females select their mates, and not necessarily from their own communities. Fairies need no explanation. Naiads and Dryads are able to change their coloration for protective camouflage. Most of these nature dwellers live in riparian zones that run through the Spartina grass marshes. Other nature dwellers make their homes in the ecotones, that is, the areas that overlap the two biomes. The Naiads and Dryads make their homes of simple structures variously called wigwams, wickiups, or hogans. Their homes are tree branch frameworks covered by Spartina grass thatch. Spartina grass, also called cordgrass, is also used to tie the thatch to the framework. The homes are about the same size as the wigwams in the old Western movies, small but cozy and spacious enough for the nature dwellers' needs. Sawyer Island consists of the main island and 11 littoral islands or islets separated only by narrow inlets, creeks, and other waterways. Most of the nature dwellers live on Dogleg Island, Halberd Island, or Big Spearhead Island. But they're not confined to those islands. Near the south bank of Conch Creek, a family-owned motel called Sunset Court serves as a gateway between their world and the municipality of Sawyer Island. For the nature dwellers, Sunset Court is both the conduit for information and a storage place to supply their needs when they walk around in the more developed areas of Sawyer Island. They can frolic at the beach, attend church, or visit relatives and friends who live in the maritime forest. Townspeople are well aware that they share their island home with nature dwellers, but they rarely speak of them around tourists or other visitors. For one thing, they want to protect the nature dwellers' privacy. They also want to avoid disapproving looks from people who don't believe in Naiads, Dryads, or Fairies. I'm sure you remember that not long ago, a bad flu was going around. Since the nature dwellers had little or no access to newspapers and probably limited access to medical care, you may be wondering how they survived during the flu epidemic. Either by evolution or intelligent design, the nature dwellers have their own way of resisting contagious diseases. Whenever nature dwellers came down with the flu, something in their bodies mysteriously developed a means of fighting the disease. Once the nature dweller was well, she probably never came down with the flu again. After many nature dwellers overcame the flu, even the ones who never had it were somehow resistant to it. Many of us who aren't nature dwellers were not that fortunate. In the confusion, practicing physicians were spreading misinformation about the flu. Most people, however, were smart enough to take advice from career bureaucrats with MD on their resumes. Hurricane Blanche recently devastated the area and upended much of life for the nature dwellers. They're having to rebuild their homes, but that's not the worst of it. Sawyer Island was ground zero for the hurricane, and since then has attracted an especially odious species of real estate developers called disaster capitalists. The predators in question say they hope to rebuild the Sawyer Island wetlands better than nature intended by transforming it into an environmental theme park, with less emphasis on environmental and more emphasis on theme park. They're the same developers who created Whollywood, a theme park in a nearby state. Whollywood, owned by a multi-billion-dollar corporate conglomerate, has enjoyed the benefits of corporate welfare and a two-tier justice system, but they've overstayed their welcome. Now the parent company of Whollywood hopes to move its operations to Sawyer Island's wetlands. To everyone's surprise, the biggest supporters of this boondoggle describe themselves as anti-establishment champions of social, economic, and environmental justice. But as long as Whollywood gives a symbolic lip service to anti-establishment social issues, their supporters are willing to forget all about the economic and environmental part of the equation. These wetlands are in danger, and the nature dwellers are trying to protect it and defend their way of life. They say they need my expertise in the areas of advertising and public relations. And they expect me to somehow take their case to the court of public opinion without saying anything about Naiads, Dryads, or Fairies. Well, if I'm going to help these nature dwellers, I'll have to get back to Sunset Court and get busy.